Hello, and welcome to EBTV's 2018 Township Council Candidates Forum. I'm Dawn Clark, Vice President of Voter Services of the League of Women Voters of New Jersey, your moderator for this evening. And I'm here because elections and voting are core concerns for the League of Women Voters. The League is committed to providing fact-based information about issues and their positions candidates take on those issues to help voters make their own decisions and participate in the electoral process. The League of Women Voters never supports or opposes candidates for office or any political party. Therefore, any use of the League name or footage from the debate in a candidate's campaign materials, literature, or advertising of any kind, including internet, cable, or television, has not been authorized by the League of Women Voters. The League is pleased to partner with the East Brunswick Public Library and EBTV. We are grateful for their nonpartisan efforts in bringing this vital information to you, the voters of East Brunswick. Tonight, we televise this forum from the East Brunswick Public Library. Members of the local press will be asking questions of the candidates running for Township Council in East Brunswick. The Republican candidates, I'd like to introduce them to you, are on my immediate left, Camille Ferraro Clark. Next to her is Dar Kona, and next to him is Kurt Philipsek. The Democratic candidates are immediately to my right, James Wendell. In the middle, Sharon Sullivan. And to my far right, Kevin McAvoy. We are pleased to welcome members of the press to tonight's forum. They are Maureen Berzak, representing East Brunswick Tap Into, Susan Lawyer from the Home News Tribune, and EBPL's Melissa Hosick. Welcome, ladies. We will begin our program with 2-minute opening statements by each candidate. The order of the opening statements was determined by a random drawing earlier this evening. We did cards. 1-minute closing statements will be given in the reverse order of the opening statements. We are now ready to begin the opening statements, and we're going to do that in the order that they chosen. So our very first candidate to speak this evening for 2 minutes will be Sharon Sullivan. Go ahead.
Thank you, EBTV, the East Brunswick Library, reporters, League of Women Voters, and you, the residents of East Brunswick. Good evening. My name is Sharon Sullivan, and I want to be your next councilwoman. I'm happily married to my husband, Steve, for the past 31 years, and have lived in East Brunswick for the past 24. Both of my children went through the East Brunswick public school system. Volunteerism has always been a huge part in my life. When my children were younger, I was the team mom for the St. Bart Buffaloes in the EBBL. I was active in the Memorial School PTA, co-chair of the Boys Basketball Booster Club in the high school. I am currently serving on the Traffic Advisory Board, which I was appointed to by Mayor Cohen. I have been part of the EB Domestic Violence team for the past 10 years. I volunteer at Alice's Cup Food Pantry. I've been involved with the American Cancer Society for 11 years, including several years as the chairperson of the East Brunswick Relay for Life. I am running for town council because the time is right. I can devote full time in serving you while on the council. I plan on having office hours so that you can talk to me about your concerns, ideas for the betterment of East Brunswick. For the past 4 months, I have walked your neighborhoods, introducing the Wendell, Sullivan, and McAvoy team. I listened to your concerns and what you love about East Brunswick. I have solved, with the help of the mayor's office, problems that you informed me about. Just like so many residents, I too have many questions concerning the development of Tice's and Harts Lane and Summerhill and Old Stage Road. The team of Wendell and McAvoy are in favor of the redevelopment on 18. We look forward to the continuance of keeping taxes down. Past year, we have increased thanks to Mayor Cohen's budget. I want to continue to enhance the quality of our municipal services and life in the East Brunswick. Please remember Wendell, myself, Sharon Sullivan, and McAvoy on November 6th.
Thank you, Ms. Sullivan. And the next speaker is my immediate left, is Camille Ferraro Clark.
Good evening. I am Councilwoman Camille Ferrero Clark. I'm proud to have served as your councilwoman representing you for the past 9 years, and I wish to continue to serve to give back to the community that has given so much to me. I moved to East Brunswick in 1984 and have resided here ever since, with a few absences of no consequence. And during all this time, I have seen many changes in East Brunswick, some very good and some not very good at all. I worked in my career in the Department of Homeland Security, Customs and Border Protection for the U.S. federal government. I worked out of the World Trade Center and was a survivor of the attacks of 9/11. As a CPP employee, I served on overseas assignments dealing with international trade agreements, regulation and enforcement of those same agreements. As a councilwoman, I have served on numerous boards: park and recreation, water and sewer, telecommunications, commuter parking, and planning. I believe in the vitality of East Brunswick, and I want to continue to support good development and redevelopment, but to discourage ill-advised projects, those which have been distorted out of their original proposals by greedy developers. I am a fiscal conservative, and in my 9 years in office, my concern has been and always will continue to be driven by the same series of thought processes. Is it worthwhile? Is it sustainable? Is it a function of government, or better served by private concerns or charities? And then if those are okay, can we afford it? How can we fund it? And if it needs further taxation, then I will guard every one of your pennies as if it were coming out of my pocket. I wish to continue my record of protecting our assets, reducing costs through shared services, challenging and questioning contracts with obscured, harmful clauses, improving our infrastructure, nurturing citizen involvement in public welfare through participating in neighborhood watches, supporting our public library and our police. Remember the ticket of Clark, Kona, and Phillipsack. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Clark. And the next speaker will be Kevin McAvoy.
Good evening. I would like to thank the East Brunswick League of Women Voters for sponsoring this debate, EBTV, the library, and the panel of journalists who have taken their time to prepare and volley important questions for this deliberation. Let me begin by telling you who I am. I'm Mr. Mack, AKA the Voice of the Bears, and I've lived in EB for the past 33 years with my wife, having raised our family here. And tonight I'm asking for your vote on November 6th and your confidence in me as a leader on the town council in the governance of our township. My proven record of leadership demonstrates that I am cooperative and decisive in my decision-making skills. Above all, I am honest, and I lead a life driven by the values of ethics and integrity. Let me tell you about my lifetime record and achievement here in EB. While a teacher in the East Brunswick Public School System, I taught generations of students, including yourself, your sons, and your daughters. I initiated progressive curricula on the Vietnam War, civil rights, and Holocaust studies. I coached our East Brunswick High School track teams to numerous GMC titles and 3 state championship teams, and I'm very proud of that record. Upon retirement, I was elected to the Board of Education, where I hired Superintendent Victor Valesky, brought double vestibules for security to all of our schools, and initiated the purchase of Chromebooks for all establishments. After that term, I was duly honored to be chosen by the town council to be your mayor. Most importantly, I negotiated a $40 million revenue contract with the Middlesex County Utilities Authority, encouraged and cut ribbons for numerous businesses, and completed the construction of Exit 9 connecting the New Jersey Turnpike to our Route 18. My record of accomplishments still stands to this day. Above all, I am proud of my interpersonal skill sets and the meaningful relationships that also stand to this day. Therefore, on November 6th, I ask for your vote for Kevin McAvoy for Town Council and support my running mates, Jim Wendell and Sharon Sullivan. Thank you.
And thank you, Mr. McAvoy. And now we'll hear from Kurt Phillipsack.
Good evening. My name is Kurt Phillipsack, and I'm a candidate for Town Council in East Brunswick. I'm a proud resident of this town for 18 years. 6 of those 18 years, I served on your Board of Education. I'm a certified public accountant in public practice, specifying my practice is small business, kind of. What I need now is for everybody to understand I enjoy East Brunswick very much. I'm a part of your community. I'm currently the president of my homeowners association. I'm treasurer of a local Girl Scout troop. I'm the ASM, the Assistant Scoutmaster, and district representative for Boy Scouts of America. My wife, my daughter, my son and I are parishioners at St. Bart's, and we're very organized in the parish. I want to thank EBTV, the library, the League of Women Voters that gave me the opportunity to be here this time, this day, in a place I call home. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And now we'll hear from James Wendell.
Thank you. I'd like to thank everyone for their time this evening and for being part of this event. In addition, I would like to thank my parents for moving their family to East Brunswick 48 years ago. I'm a product of the East Brunswick school system and have been an active volunteer in town for the past 30 years, from volunteering with the local fire departments to coaching both youth football, baseball, and lacrosse. In my professional life, I am vice president of construction of a national development company. I've been a sitting councilman for the past year and chairman of the East Brunswick Redevelopment Agency for the past 14 months. During this time, a lot of great things have been accomplished. We've completely renovated Crystal Springs Pool Utility, a facility that takes no money from the East Brunswick residents, but yet is self-sustaining. This year, we've paved over 8 miles of roads in town, a record amount for East Brunswick, and have already started the process to surpass that amount next year. We replaced the turf at Heavenly Farms, and we're also resurfacing basketball courts, and we have seen over 8 tennis courts in town renovated. We have over 80 new businesses come to town and a record number of developers in attendance at our recent Q&A session for the redevelopment agency. This election is going to be predicated on who can best redevelop 18 while controlling the growth of other areas of town. And I'm the man to do that. We need developments that residents in town can be proud of, not somewhere that locals avoid. I'm the person. My successful background in providing sustainable development in other communities proves my record of success in this field. If you elect me, I will revitalize Route 18. I will work hard to keep taxes stable while continuing to provide the best services. Many of you know me. For those that you don't, talk to your neighbors. I'm sure they know me and tell you what kind of person I am. So I ask for you to support the team of Wendell, Sullivan, and McAvoy for Town Council. Thank you.
And thank you. And our final opening statement will be from Dar Kona.
Good evening, East Brunswick. Thank you to the League of Women Voters for having us here today. Thank you, EB Public Library, and thank you to the panelists for coming here with your questions well prepared. I would also want to thank my family for their tremendous support, and I would definitely want to thank my wife, who has been very, very supportive, as this weekend is our 20th wedding anniversary, and we were actually supposed to be out in Europe, but we're here today, and we're going to be here the rest of this weekend. But most importantly, I want to thank you, the residents of East Brunswick. The reason I'm standing here today and sitting down here today in front of you is for you and because of you. I'm a resident of East Brunswick for 13 years. I happily moved here from Marlborough. I had the wonderful opportunity to move here and raise my children here. In the past 11 years, I have volunteered extensively in the town. I've been very heavily involved in youth activities with my 3 children. One of which is now away in college at the U.S. Naval Academy. I have a daughter in high school and a younger one in the elementary school. I want to take the time today to answer your questions and answer the questions of the panelists to show you that I'm a person that you can trust, someone you can put your faith in when it comes to moving East Brunswick forward. There are a lot of questions that are being asked. There are a lot of decisions that have been made. I want to focus on moving this township forward and not backwards. So I want to ask you today, keep us in mind, November 6th. I need you to vote for us to move East Brunswick forward. I'm Darcona. I'm running for town council with Camille Clark and Kurt Philipsak.
Thank you, Mr. Kona. We are now ready to begin the question and answer session. The reporters will alternate, each asking a question to both parties. The party's candidate will have 90 seconds to respond to the question. The opposing party's candidate will then also have 90 seconds to respond. And we will alternate so that both parties have equal opportunities for first response. Going to be fun going back and forth here. Let's begin with the question and answers then. Miss Lawyer, will you please ask the first question, and it should be directed first to the Republicans.
Okay, thank you, and good evening, everyone. My first question is, do you think recreational marijuana should be legalized in the state? And if it is legalized, what is your position on having recreational marijuana dispensaries in the township?
Okay.
Thank you.
Miss Clark, yes. Okay.
Recreational marijuana is something that is, in my opinion, and I've discussed it with my co-candidates, something that is not desirable for East Brunswick. There is a good distinction to be made between medical marijuana and recreational marijuana. I believe there is no accident saying that marijuana, recreational marijuana, can be considered a gateway drug. There are many reasons why there's an addictive process. We don't understand quite what happens. If medical science knew what begins an addictive process, we wouldn't have AA and NA and all of your anonymous groups. It's not. It's harmful. It's smoking. It's ingesting harmful materials into the lungs. Medical marijuana, completely different in this respect. My husband died of bone cancer not too long ago. That is one of the most horrific ways to die. And if it weren't for medical marijuana being available, it would have been even worse. The facilities, as they're set up in the state of New Jersey, and a lot of people don't understand that, they are more secure than Fort Knox, but I don't think that we should be selling recreational marijuana within the township limits.
Thank you. Now, who would like to speak on that subject?
State lawmakers have finally written the latest bill that would legalize marijuana and lay the foundation for commercial weed in New Jersey. Essentially, the bill would legalize the possession and personal use of small amounts of marijuana for people at least 21 years of age. It would also create, regulate, and tax a commercial marijuana industry in New Jersey. Businesses with a marijuana license would be able to apply for a consumption space on the same premise, but separate from their dispensary. Retailers would have to get local approval for the consumption space in addition to getting permission from the state, the bill says. While the bill presents the foundation of a legal weed industry, it leaves much of the rulemaking up to the New Jersey Cannabis Regulatory Commission, a five-person body with setting the parameters for the industry as well as oversight. Having said all of that, let's stop. Let's slow down at least. There are still so many unanswered questions, such as, how does the community feel about this issue? Let's find out. What are some of the recommendations from our police department? They should have some answers for us. Will and can the local governing body have a say in this matter? Because they surely should. So let us all take a step backwards and examine the issue very methodically, socially, and with concern for all of our residents. Thanks.
Thank you. Now we'll go to question number 2, and I'm going to ask you, Ms. Burzak, to address the question to the Democrats.
Good evening. The East Brunswick redevelopment zone, stretching from Route 18 south at the Turnpike exit to Ferris Street, is probably the largest single design project planned in East Brunswick in the past 2 decades. In 2016, 3 of you present here tonight voted in favor of it and the expansive changes it will bring starting in 2020. 1 of you served on the Community Advisory Board to the Redevelopment Agency. 1 of you is the chair of that agency. The wheels have begun to turn on this project. The zone, which required a special designation to allow eminent domain, condemnation of properties, and a revisioning of a large tract of land, has been approved by the Township Council, and all factors of the designation have been made public. Moving forward, as a member of the council, how will you work toward the success of the East Brunswick redevelopment zone and the way it will change East Brunswick?
Who will start with that?
I'll take that.
Mr. Wendell.
We can all agree that we've been looking at vacant shopping centers on the northern end of Route 18 for many years now. And those vacancies have cost the township nearly $40 million in tax ratables every year. This issue has been part of the past several election cycles, and for anyone to now declare that we're moving too fast is absurd. But the retail centers in those areas are from the 70s, and as such are functionally obsolete. As I've been the chairman of the newly formed redevelopment agency for the past 14 months, we've come up with plans. We're now seeking developers. At a recent Q&A session, we had over 50 interested developers in the area in our meeting, which indicates the plans we have developed have gained interest far beyond the borders of East Brunswick. What can we expect to see in the redevelopment? Well, we can expect to see a boulevard that will divert some traffic over Route 18, walkable retail with some residential units above, community spaces, commuter parking facility to ease the burden on Route 18 traffic, and a commuter parking facility that's going to be on the southern end of Route 8, southbound side of Route 18. Development of these vacant shopping plazas will increase ratables and as such produce much needed additional revenue for the town, so we can continue to be mindful of our tax rate while looking towards smart growth for the township. The future of Route 18 is bright, and we need to keep pushing forward.
Thank you. And who'd like to speak on the redevelopment? Mr. Cohn.
There are a lot of questions with regards to redevelopment, but there is one question that doesn't exist. Do the Republicans support redevelopment? We do. Redevelopment is necessary. We've seen these properties driving in and out on Route 18 for a very long time, and they are in need of redevelopment. But the way we're going about it, there's a lot of things that you need to understand are not being done the way they need to be done, and being mindful of the businesses that are there, the property owners that are there, and the use of eminent domain. We're just slapping it around and threatening people with it. Instead of working with property owners and businesses, we're pushing them around. And then on the other side, we're actually trying to cut separate deals with some of those businesses and giving them an opportunity so that they wouldn't ever be in redevelopment ever again in the future, which is going to handicap future administrations and their ability to use eminent domain if it needs to be used. The other problems that we're facing with the redevelopment is that it's predominantly a residential component, very little in the way of businesses. It's a good-looking development from what we've seen so far. The problem with the residential component is the ratables are a little bit lower than the commercial aspects. But we also need to be mindful of the businesses that are currently there. Some of those businesses cater to certain segments of our society that enjoy these businesses. We need to think very carefully and clearly about how we're going to approach this, but we need to move forward with redevelopment.
Thank you very much. I'd like to move on then to question number 3, which will be directed to the Republicans. Ms. Hosick, would you please ask that question?
Good evening. What areas of municipal services do you think can be enhanced by technology?
Almost every area of municipal services can be enhanced by technology. First thing I'd love to see done is have our website revamped. But I've been sitting on council where we've approved the purchase of technology for the patrol officers so that while they're on duty, The tickets that are written, the summonses that are written are immediately transcribed. There's great savings in time and an effort. You're not you're not reworking everything. I'd love to see state-of-the-art for EBTV, which is another area that could use some upgrading, I'm sure. Our own IT department, we've had difficulties in the past trying to staff it adequately, and I believe that we should look out for people that are talented and well versed in this. You can go to your water, sewer, all of your billables, all of this stuff can be enhanced by improving the technology. It was only recently that they allowed credit cards to be accepted at certain areas. That's sad. That's really sad. Government traditionally on all levels has always lagged behind because of the cost involved. But that is something that we can work on, and certainly it should be improved.
The democratic response to technology?
This is an area that has seen great improvement since Mayor Cohen has taken office. Our business administrator has a degree in computer science. As such, he's very, very involved with our IT department. We've recently hired new members in our IT department and continue to staff up. I'm in agreement with Councilwoman Clark to say that we've spent a lot of money over the years on upgrades to our IT department, but you can see these things now. We've put in place new software packages for our building and planning departments. So now our building inspectors will be going out with iPads in their hands to do their inspections. A great innovation for a department that, when Mayor Cohen took office, was really struggling. All of our employees in town, when they're out, Public Works, when they're out doing work, they have what we call a cartograph system, whereas they themselves have a tablet, and they can document anything that's going on. A sewer repair, a water repair, they can take photos, it gets saved to a system, goes to our GIS system. These are all great things. Now, in the future, I'd love to see all of our services take credit card payments. You're gonna see our website updated. That's one of the things on our short list. It's endless what technology can do to help, but we're actually turning the corner and we're using a lot of technology, and it's only gonna get better.
That's good news. All right, we're going to go to question 4, and we're going to start again with you, Miss Lawyer. And would you please address your question to the Democrats?
With about 120 apartments proposed on Summerhill and Old Stage Roads, and another 200 apartments proposed for Tice's Lane, how do you suggest the township handle the impact the two large developments will have on local neighborhoods and township services?
Okay, the redevelopment. Who would like to address that?
I will take that, if I may.
Okay.
The developments on Summerhill and Tices were born out of an affordable housing agreement between the township and Fair Share Housing. It's because of the inclusion of these two properties in that agreement that I was the only member on the town council who voted against the agreement. I felt these properties would place too much impact on adjacent neighborhoods, and I knew there was other avenues available to achieve this obligation. Our opponents voted differently. These properties require zoning by the town council to comply. For the Summerhill tract, I felt the density would be far too much of an impact to this neighborhood. The traffic in that area can often back up along Old Stage Road all the way back to New Brunswick Avenue. As for the Tices tract, this property has been sitting vacant since the 70s. And the roadway through that project has been installed since the 80s. It's only since it was recently rezoned in 2016 and the affordable housing obligations were settled that now developers want to see things going on. It's because of these impacts that I do not support the ordinances for the affordable housing. There are many other ways we can achieve our obligations. We have a redevelopment zone where we can put put these affordable units. We can be building housing for veterans, disabled young adults. We can build housing for disabled veterans. in my mind, short on housing for our age-restricted community, for those 55 and older. There's nowhere for people to age. They have to stay in their houses. We need other housing and other affordable housing in other locations, not these two.
Thank you. And do we have someone to respond from the Republicans? Mr. Carmen.
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not a politician. I joined the Republican team because I was absolutely fed up as a resident listening to this sort of stuff. I've had it. I've absolutely had it. We don't need a Summerhill project. We don't need the Harts Lane project. And we don't need people telling us that what they voted for, what they didn't vote for. I'll prove to you on my Facebook page, East Brunswick 2018, what Mr. Wendell actually did vote for. And you'll see a yes there very soon. The other thing is, you got to realize, the Alfieri property on Harts Lane, where we had the planning board meeting last night, that property was changed from industrial to residential by the Democrats, not by the Republicans, as they claimed last night. You got to understand, there's a lot of history here. It's gone back so many years, and this entire project where we're putting co-apartments in all different locations, all these different projects, big master plan, it's a 155-page document on the Township website, signed off by then Mayor McAvoy, who's sitting over there. You got to understand, if you're upset about high-rise or mid-rise apartments, high density, 12 units per acre, sitting there on the corner of Summerhill, and they have no regard for traffic and safety, that was done by them. But we can change that. We need to go back to the drawing table, and we need to make a difference, and we need to fight.
Thank you. Now we'll move on, and we're going to ask Ms. Berzak to ask question 5 and start with the Republicans, please.
Thank you. Drug-related crime in East Brunswick, with multiple vehicle stops and residence raids, producing large amounts of a variety of opiates, prescription drugs, and drug paraphernalia, are examples of how Route 18 and some of the parallel roadways in East Brunswick have become thoroughfares for drugs. According to the East Brunswick Police Department, 3 arrests were made last month of people transporting or holding illegal drugs in their cars in the township. How do you propose that the Township Council can support the East Brunswick Police Department, get drugs out of our parking lots and byways, and make East Brunswick safer?
Oh, you'll take that, Ms. Klein?
Yes. The Township Council can only do what it has been doing and what every good citizen should be doing, and that's support the police in their efforts. However, Route 18 isn't the only thoroughfare nor its parallel streets that were affected. We had issues down on Main Street in East Brunswick. It was with the cooperation of local residents that the police were able to cobble together all these pieces of a puzzle and go after and stop a lot of the trafficking that was going on down there. And there were a few houses in the area that were being used as drug stops. Again, it was concerned citizens calling the police and saying, I see a car that comes up at 2 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. I see a car, all these different cars come up and they only stop for 5 minutes, so the guy runs out. The police can't have eyes everywhere, neither can the town council. We can pass the ordinances making it illegal. We can request that they step up enforcement activity, but if they don't know, if you don't tell them, they can't look for it everywhere. They are hampered by a reasonable right to search. But if they've got the information that was given to them by the public, and it can be kept private, they can act in a better fashion. We know it can be done. My neighborhood, down by the President Streets, we have done it. Thank you.
Thank you. And what is your answer to that question?
Okay. I am sure that we all know somebody who has been affected by the opioid crisis. I cannot imagine what a family of an addict must go through on a daily basis. I know that we could count on the East Brunswick Police Officers Rescue Squad, the middle and high school, 3 local hospitals to give Narcan in case of an overdose. However, I don't believe that's enough. I believe that we need to educate the general population, all ages, before prescribing opioids about the dangers of misusing them. We need to continue to educate parents and law enforcement about the dangers of opioids and new strategies to conquer the drug problem. I would like to establish, working with our very own Alliance for the Prevention of Alcoholism and Drug Abuse, a hotline for the recovering drug addicts, caregivers, and addicts. Also work with the Alliance to provide additional sober living opportunities. Educators and law enforcement need to create strategies to support the ability of individuals to withstand challenges in their daily lives and promote behavioral health services. Finally, after rehab, we have to have services in town for the people in recovery, readily available for them, so they can have a fair opportunity to live in a productive life in our community. Thank you.
And thank you. Now I'm going to go to you, Ms. Hosig, for question number 6, and would you please address it to the Democrats first?
So we received this question over social media, and it's about property taxes. Property tax revaluation in East Brunswick hasn't been done in over 32 years. How old are your homes, and how would you call for a property tax revaluation?
You'll take that, Mr. McAvoy? Oh,
We all know that in today's times, property taxes are a real challenge, and I want to be the councilman who tackles that challenge. This past year, we saw 0 increase in our municipal tax rate and 2% the year before. And I want to continue that progress while at the same time maintaining our great services. It is also time to commit our energies to attracting new businesses throughout our town, with the emphasis on the redevelopment and development of the Route 18 corridor. Furthermore, Edgeboro Road, the old Movie City 5 property, hotels at the Park Chateau and one behind the PNC Towers, all lend themselves to what I would call rateable recovery revenue for the township. It is also time to take a strong, hard look at shared services. And local politicians easily let those words flow out of their mouth during many election cycles, but make no mistake, the team of Wendell, Sullivan, and McAvoy will set goals, review progress, list accomplishments on this issue in the next 4 years. It is a must. It is common sense and is a cost-saving initiative. A stable tax rate, business development, and shared services are all part of our vision for East Brunswick.
thank you. We're going to then start another round here, and I'm going to ask, oh, yeah, no, we do have to give the Republicans a chance, I'm sorry. Let's be, yeah.
There's no magic to a $76 million budget. In reality, we have to do things that are best for East Brunswick. 20% of your budget is actually for your property taxes, a municipal responsibility. Your revenues that are generated are 80% to be paid from those responsibilities. The other parts are actually your industrial and your commercial. I would like to either cut expenses or you raise your revenues. I would like long-term ratables, property taxes for 5 and 6 year plans. I would love to think about the idea that we need to lower the idea of the burden of the 80% on the residential, possibly look into the idea of the commercial and the industrial part to lower the burden of all the property taxes in East Brunswick. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And now we'll try again. And I will ask you, Ms. Lawyer, if you will ask question number 7, and if you will start, please, with the Republicans.
Sure. We've seen a lot of traffic issues on Route 18, and now they've spread to local roadways. The question is, how can local government address the traffic issues to keep residents safe? Could you repeat the beginning of your question, please?
Yes, thank you.
A lot of traffic issues on Route 18, and now they spread to the local roadways. So how can local government address the traffic issues to keep residents safe?
You ask how we can do that to keep the residents safe rather than alleviating the traffic. That's interesting. To keep residents safe is kind of an easy answer in this respect. You just make sure that there's adequate enforcement of speed laws, and I think that the law should apply appropriately and equally to the vehicles and to pedestrians. Rarely is a pedestrian, but it happens, killed or injured when walking in an intersection at a proper interval. What happens when he tries to cross 18 and he's hopping over the barrier? It's not a pretty sight. However, that being said, traffic on 18, that's a state highway. The state has mandated there is no place to widen that highway. There's no place to widen it. The only thing that we can do is get smart with interior public transportation, perhaps. Any businesses, try to get a bus cut out for them. But these are all things that are mandated by the state. We have been working with the state. They've cooperated to the extent that we've been able to get the highway repaved, some of the overpasses. Traffic is here to stay. We've got to get smart in how we transport ourselves around the township.
Thank you. Democratic reply. Okay. Thank you, Ms. Sullivan.
Traffic and safety have been addressed in the current administration. For safety reasons, speed limits on some streets here in East Brunswick have been lowered. For example, Church Lane, Dunham's Corner, and Fresh Ponds Road, just to name a few, have lowered the speed limits. This should lead to a safer streets for all those walking, riding bicycles, and traveling by automobiles. Currently, I'm serving on the Traffic Advisory Board. The Traffic Advisory Board works with various township, county, and state agencies to identify and study traffic trouble spots and make recommendations to reduce traffic on roads in East Brunswick. I have come to the realization that many traffic concerns that have been addressed are county and state roads. We, the Traffic Advisory Board, have been working diligently with both the state and county to ease the traffic problems. The traffic light cycles, how long and when the lights stay green or red, have been addressed, and again, we with the state and county are working to fix the problems. When the redevelopment is completed on Route 18, we will have a transportation center on the southbound side, and buses will be able to pull in and pick up and drop off passengers, alleviating the stops directly on Route 18, and this will allow the flow of traffic to flow in all three lanes at all times. If you, the residents, see a traffic problem, you can contact our traffic engineering department or the Traffic Advisory Board. The Traffic Advisory Board will investigate the problems. Also, the state and county have provided funds earmarked for paving Old Bridge Turnpike, and many overpasses leading to Route 18 have been paved with this funding. This should
Ms.
help
Sullivan,
traffic run
thank
smoother,
you.
not to mention it'll help our cars too.
Yes, I know, it's hard when you get involved. We have time, I believe, for another question. I'd like to ask you, Ms. Burzak, to address a question to the Democrats.
The East Brunswick Regional Chamber of Commerce has become a vital part of the local business community, allowing for networking, training, outreach, and community service opportunities for all member businesses in East Brunswick. Mayor Cohen has announced that 82 new businesses have opened in the township in the past 2 years. However, we still have lots of empty storefronts and plenty of room to grow. As a member of the council, what kinds of businesses and services do we need more of in East Brunswick, and how can you help them relocate here?
Mr.
Yes.
Mr.
I'll take that.
Wendell?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Great question. As you stated, 80 new businesses in town since the Cohen administration has come on. Direct result of the growth of our and continued growth of our Chamber of Commerce. We've seen a lot of new businesses that are sought after in other towns now. Playa Bowls just opened up. It's a rage. These are great things. People are now seeing East Brunswick as a destination, and we're going to see more growth like that as we begin the redevelopment process. As the redevelopment process continues, and we start to bring in developers to grow the 90 to 150,000 square feet of retail that's going to be on the northern end of Route 18, sitting in vacant plazas that have sat vacant for 10 years. We're going to see more businesses such as Playa Bowls, small restaurants. You know, there's a bill sitting in the State House right now that may allow liquor licenses in redevelopment zones. And if that happens, we're going to see more small restaurants with nice bistros that you can get a glass of wine or a glass of beer and have a nice dinner. The redevelopment zone is going to have sidewalk seating, so you're going to see, you know, a lot of things going on. But the growth of the businesses in East Brunswick is outstanding recently, and it's just going to continue. People believe in it now.
Thank you. Who would like to address that from the Republican? Yes, Mr. Kona.
Could you just repeat the question real quick to make sure I'm answering it correctly?
Lots of stuff about development. It says, however, we still have lots of empty storefronts and plenty of room to grow. As a member of the council, what kinds of businesses and services do we need more of in East Brunswick, and how can you help to bring them here?
Well, one of the things that we have to recognize is the fact that when we're talking about ratables in town, 80% of our ratables is actually from the residential component, 20% is from the commercial component. We also have to recognize the fact that the market itself has been gravitating and changing with the advent of the internet. We have to be mindful of our location, East Brunswick. We're close to New Brunswick. Our biggest ratable in town is Tower Center, which is half empty. A lot of the focus is going on in residential apartment complexes, a lot of small shops. Chamber of Commerce is a critical agency that needs to help with this process. But we need to put a little bit more effort in the fact that we are a great alternative to bringing in businesses, corporate environments. Most people don't recognize that one of the biggest management companies that brings in commercial properties and brings in tenants is actually located in East Brunswick. One of the biggest companies in the entire world has their New Jersey headquarters in East Brunswick. We haven't tapped them yet, and we need to start looking at other opportunities and start driving business, not only when it comes to entertainment and restaurant, but we also need to look at corporate structures too.
Well, thank you. I think it's time to move along, and we need to go to our closing statements. And each of the candidates is going to have 1 minute to close, and we're going to go in the reverse order to their opening. So we're going to start with Mr. Dar Kona. So can you do it in 1 minute?
I can. In 1 minute.
Okay.
Here we go. All right. Like I said before, I'm not a politician. I'm just a resident, just like you, not happy about what I've seen over the past 2 years. We've made great strides, not enough. The economy nationally has been getting a lot better. We could do better. We need to do better. And there are things that we need to bring in that have not been looked at very well. I've been in this town for 13 years, and I've worked very hard as a volunteer, and I'm telling you that you can put your faith in me and your trust in me. Vote Darcona this November 6th, and vote for my running mates, Camille Clark and Kurt Phillipsack.
Well, thank you. And now we'll hear from James Wendell.
I'd like to thank everyone at the library tonight for making this event happen. And to the residents of East Brunswick, if you elect me, I will continue to work hard. Being a lifelong resident, I'm an East Brunswick first person. I am the only one. I only have one thing in mind for this position, and that is continue to do good work that we've been doing. The election's primary issue is who can make Route 18 something locals can be proud of. I'm the only candidate with redevelopment experience and will continue to work to make Route 18 the vibrant commercial corridor it once was. My opponents would like you to think we need to slow down. We've been looking at these vacant shopping centers for too long. East Brunswick's been great to me, and I hope to continue to be your advocate in Town Hall. The community is special because of the people that live here and the pride that we all have. And that is why I ask for your vote for Jim Wendell and the Wendell, Sullivan, and McAvoy team. Thank you.
And thank you. And now we'll hear from Kurt Phillipsack.
You learn a lot when you're campaigning door to door in East Brunswick, believe me, people aren't afraid to tell you their opinions. And I'll tell you right now, their opinions are on the topic of development, redevelopment, and nonpartisan politics. What we really need is good ideas by both parties to get everything done. I'm looking for solutions. I'd like to make a difference, and I'd like your support. Please support myself, my running mates Dar and Camille. Thank you.
Thank you. And now, Mr. Kevin McAvoy.
To the League of Women Voters, EBTV, the library, our journalists, and you, the viewers at home, I say thank you. I want to be your next councilman. So in the final analysis, what is a councilman? A councilman is someone who is knowledgeable, approachable, and helpful. A councilman is someone who is always seen around town, a person you recognize, a leader who will get back to you, someone who is always willing to stop and chat, and most importantly, someone you trust, and probably whom you voted for. My entire professional life, volunteer life, and political life revolve around those qualities. So do Jimmy's, and so do Sharon's. So on November 6th, I'm asking for your vote for Kevin McAvoy for council to ensure that East Brunswick continues to thrive as a great community. A vote for the Wendell, Sullivan, and McAvoy team is a vote to provide fiscal discipline, a zero tax increase, and quality municipal services for a thriving East Brunswick. Thank you.
Thank you. And now, Camille Ferraro-Clark.
And I'm here, still here, for 9 years, and I've been serving you the best way I know how, which is to shine light on the accomplishments that we've done, but also that same light shines on the items that don't seem right. I haven't wavered from what I hold true, which is service to this community, support of our way of life, support to our servicemen, to the VFW, to the public library, and public safety. I'm blessed to be supported by persons and men cut of the same cloth, Kurt Philipczak and Darcona. I ask for your vote for us on November 9th. So when you vote, and I hope that you do, I'm asking you to vote for us in column B. But regardless, vote. I pray that God bless us, regardless of the way you vote. And God bless America. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And the final speaker will be Sharon Sullivan.
Again, thank you, residents, EBTV, League of Women Voters, and reporters. This November 6th, you, the residents, have an important decision to make on who your next council members will be. I promise if I'm elected, I will be respectful and polite to all. I will not insult, attack, or demand. I will listen to and evaluate all sides of an issue and vote on what is in the best interest of you. I want to continue to keep taxes down. This year, Mayor Cohn's budget had a zero increase in municipal taxes, while still able to budget a new roof on the library, make improvements to recreational facilities, pave local roads, and add additional police officers. East Brunswick residents have the right to know what is going on in the township we live in. It is clear that the voting for the Wendell, Sullivan, and McAvoy team, you are voting for a team that has a plan for the future. I, Sharon Sullivan, want to be your voice, a voice for all residents. I want your vote. Vote for me, Sharon Sullivan, for town council.
Well, thank you. That's all we have for this evening. But I want to say to you people in East Brunswick, you're pretty lucky. You're very lucky. Because you have good candidates and you're going to have to make a very thoughtful decision when voting for 3 people when you have 6 good people. I do want to thank the candidates and the reporters for participating on EBTV's Township Council Candidates Forum. This will be rerun on EBTV until the election. The schedule is available on EBTV. The forum will also be available as video on demand on your computer. Just go to www.ebtv.org. Election Day is Tuesday, November 6th. Polls are open from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. If you don't know where to vote, call the municipal clerk's office at 732-390-6850. Just make sure you vote. We would like to make you aware that in New Jersey, there will be a question on the November 6, 2018 general election ballot. It is about securing our children's future bond act. As a service to the voting public, the LWV of New Jersey Education Fund has prepared an analysis of the ballot question with reasons to vote either pro or con. It is a very complex issue. We urge you to take advantage of this resource to acquire the necessary understanding to cast an informed vote. You can access the prepared summary sheets. Just go to www.lwvnj.org and click on ballot question. In addition, the League has asked questions of all of the candidates for office at every level of government. For the candidate responses to those questions and the ballot question analysis, go to www.vote411.org. For EBTV and the League of Women Voters of New Jersey, I'm Dawn Clark, and I really want to thank you for watching. Good night.